Alright, fellow mysticists, today we are looking at the card of the Hanged Man, and sorry if I rushed this, but this is the second attempt today that I'm trying because I've done it once today, and I don't know, I was talking for like 30 minutes in one row, and then it turned out that the phone did not save the file, so sorry if I talk about this, if this all happened and everything is just already explained to you. I try to do it again. So this one will have a trigger warning. You might have seen it in the beginning of this video because there will be trigger warning for the ugly details regarding hanging, animal cruelty, and gore as well. So if you, oh, I just have to check the camera. Sorry. So if you are not okay with this, just exit this video and it will be totally fine. And if you stay here, then let's start. I think this might be my favorite card from the Major Arcana, along with the Tower and the Devil, actually, because this is the part of the Major Arcana where we are getting into linear events. So previously, with the Fool and the High Priestess, the Magician, and so on, we have met uh, persons, archetypes, institutions, and it was like meeting the elements of the world. But after the hermit, I think so. From the moment the hermit comes in, uh, we are stepping into events actually. So the person in this card is hanged by the foot. And on many cards, the person looks solemn and unbothered, completely chill about the situation. I don't know if you can see it. And we usually interpret this card as gaining or trying a new perspective, trying to look at situations from a different uh, point of view. But originally, this was the card of self sacrifice. And being hanged from the ankle doesn't seem like a bad punishment uh, at first, but this was an excruciating way to go. We have historical texts of inverted hangings, even from the 10th century, and got more widespread, or at least more documented, from the 13th century, especially in France and Germany. It was against oftentimes, but not exclusively, for people from the Jewish faith, and especially from the earlier texts, where the sentenced was hanged between two biting dogs or wolves, so they would bite into him while being hanged together. So this is really that's the point, the part of animal cruelty, and this is just ugly. So I can't imagine what this position could do to joints and circulation in general, but this was a very, very slow way to go. So according to the documents, it was like 8 to 10 days to finally die. So there are cases, often with Jewish people, who converted to Christianity while being hanged, so it was a form of torture as well. And when they have been converted, they have earned the mercy of a better death, either by being hanged by the neck or being broken on the wheel. So talk about symbolism here, really. Okay, I'm just trying to let's arrange them. And this sentence was often used for traitors or for sacrilegious acts. Sacrilege was also being non-Christian in this case, and the instances we know about from actual documents was that this was the punishment for a knight abandoning his lord, so it was breaking the contract And there was a case for a Jewish person allegedly blowing up a religious building, and there was one for stealing a ship from the Queen's Navy. So it was during the time of Elizabeth I when pirates were commissioned to work for the crown. So in this case, this was regicide, when you betray your ruler, or it is when you kill them. It might be when you kill them, but this was for betraying the crown, actually. And in this case, the culprit was hung next to the mast upside down, and the ship's movement hit him against the mast repeatedly, so he was bludgeoned to death. So this was a horrible way to go. And so this card for me is not just about new perspective. This is a card of integrity, sacrificing yourself for your beliefs, different from the majorities. And in other ways, this is a card of trials. Interestingly, this card is also connected to prophetic visions, maybe for all the blood going to your head, being left there for days, getting slowly dehydrated. But in a symbolic way, this is the time given to contemplate on our beliefs, what we hold true, what we are willing to die for, and even seeing the reward for this. I mean, seeing it as a vision from being dehydrated and hallucinating, but in short, this is the card of dying, seeing the movie of your life in front of your eyes and reflecting on it. So this is literally the card before the death. So this is a card of dying in a way. And if we get in, if we reach death in this session, I mean, in this reading tarot uh, video. So after we will have more cards, you will understand that this is the point where the fool is dying actually before he meets death. So let's see other cards. Let's start with the Rider-Waite because the position here is the same, but while originally this was for the torturing part, so just one ankle being hanged is forcing your other limb to slowly stretch and stretch your muscles and it really destroys your hip and joints and everything. So it will hurt like hell. But this one was made spiritual in this case. So this triangle, like holding of the leg, and this square type holding of the arms, or yes, and the triangle and the square. This has connections to sacred geometry. So this is another case where the Golden Dawn tried to integrate sacred geometry and sacred sciences into this holistic uh, way of thinking. But in this case, you can see that this grail around his head, and it symbolizing the spiritual awakening. And we will see it on many other cards. So it's really about the sacrifice. This has also connections to Northern mythology in a way that I think it was Odin who was hanging from the tree of life for 7 or 9 days, and also lost one of his eyes. So so he was able to gain magical powers and spiritual powers. So it was the actual physical sacrifice in that one. Okay, let's see. I think this should be next. This is emphasizing on the sacrificial part. So the hanged one here is an actual sacrificial bull, and this really makes the situation. Mm, I don't know. It's really emphasizing on that the hanged man is not there by its choice. It's usually the group's decision, and I think that the hanged man is connected to the hermit in a way that the hermit chooses to go away for a while. The hermit is not a castaway. The hermit casts himself out of society and goes into the caves or mountains or whatever secluded place. But uh, the hanged man is sacrificed by the group. It's chased out by the group and cast cast out by the group for different beliefs, for acts against the group, or sometimes just not being able to assimilate into the group's norms or rules. And in this case, the group is killing the sacrificial cow for higher purpose. This higher purpose could be anything in this case, but you see that the hangman is passive. He did not choose this. It was a judgment on him by others. Okay, let's see this other one. In this one, the hangman, I don't know if you can see it properly, that the hangman is not actually hanged, but it's tied. And instead of being tied up, it's like it's tying itself out. So it was restricted before, but not any longer, and it still wears a mask. But I believe that after it's released himself, he will take down the mask and he will be able to be himself. So it's a kind of gaining freedom from the ties of society, from the ties of the group, or just the ties of restricting rules in your life. Okay, let's see where the hangman is the Sleeping Beauty. And you see that this is also passive. Also, Sleeping Beauty was not falling asleep by her own choice. It was by a curse, and she was completely innocent in this. So it was the sins of the parents that made this curse possible. But she had to. She was forced to wait. She was not able to do anything about it. It happened and she was unable to make her move. So she had to wait for someone else to come for her. And in this case, when discarded the hanged man, you have to wait for higher forces, outside forces to free you. So it's more about being forced to wait, being forced to contemplate the situation and wait for others than to uh, say things from a new perspective. Of course, it can mean that, but in this case, this is a forced waiting time. So it's not like the hermit's waiting time. Okay, let's see. This one by the hangman is a very scared mouse. I think this is the first one from these cards that where you can see actually the fear from being in this dangerous situation, because this is a dangerous situation. You cannot really move. You are afraid to move. This mouse is literally hanging there and waiting the storm to pass or get quieter with time. But at that point, it's too dangerous to move. So we are forced to just literally hang in there and wait for the bad time to pass. Similarly, this one is also a trap bird. You can see this triangle trying to symbolize uh, the sacred geometry in the original card, but you can also see the fear in its eyes. This is completely, I don't know, it's completely trapped, or legs, its wings, its tail feathers are completely tied up, and you can see that this is a hopeless situation. So there's no way out unless you relax and wait for something to happen, either death or someone comes to save you. But you can use this time to contemplate, because you cannot really do anything. You cannot really think about getting out, because there's no way you can get out on your own. Okay, let's see this one. This is also a very fearful card, in a way that I think almost all the animal ones are afraid. You can see this is a rabbit trap. So the sun is its halo around its head, so it can be a spiritual awakening, but or contemplating how to avoid the situation if it can. So I think that its only hope is if the hunter, whatever trapped him, is coming for him while he's alive, and if it's not completely drained of energy, or not completely dehydrated, it might have a chance to run away. But until that time, it's completely uncertain, and you have to accept that death is coming, because death is coming in the next card. So I can't really see this almost happy-go-lucky, nonchalant way of thinking of this card. I think this is literally accepting that you have a limited time, and this is a situation that uh, is completely out of your control, and you have to accept that death is coming. You might as well use that time to contemplate on your life so far. Okay, let's see. Okay, but this one is happy. It's really proud of itself, and I really like the way its leg is trying to shape the, the triangle form, but it can't, because they are too chubby, and, and this is really cute. But the general symbolism is there, and this one is really chill about the situation, so it doesn't really see it as a dangerous situation. It's just happy. Okay, might as well. I might as well just hang here. At least I have time to think. And if you see it, it's not hang by its leg, it's hang by its tail. Or the tail is a rope. I don't know. But I don't see actual tying here. Maybe the wine? Yeah, maybe the wines. Got this one. Okay, let's see. This one. If I can. Okay, Terror of a Modern Witch. I don't see anything new here except the clothes, so the situation is the same, the symbolism is the same. She looks really fierce and determined about the situation, so it's like accepting that this is the time to be open to things bigger than yourself, if you had no intention to do so before. So even though you have met the high priestess and the hierophant, you have met the institutions of religion, and the spiritual side of religion, and the magician as well, and even the hermit himself, but you still didn't integrate it to your life, and this is a time that you can contemplate on that. whether they mean anything to you. There's nothing you could do about this. Okay, let's see this one because this is interesting in a way that the hanging is not a literal hanging from a tree. It is drowning, and here, drowning in water, it's full of piranhas, and drowning in water as the symbolism of spirituality and emotion. I think this is really interesting because it's not completely drowned. This person seems like floating, but the danger is there. So this person has to breathe and be emotionless and hope that the fishes won't get to them. But this is also about just looking up at the starry sky above them. Because underwater there are dangerous fishes, really, but above water it's actually quite beautiful. So there are other things outside or on the other side, who knows. Then let's see this last one here for the first part. So this one is just as in the previous card with the Wheel of Fortune, which was a spider web. The hangman here is a spider, but it's not about being hanged by others. This is a quite natural state of being for the spider. So the spider is the symbol of wisdom here. Yeah, so this is quite natural. It's like a symbol of wisdom, a symbol of spirituality, as you can see with these stars in the background. So this is something natural. It comes naturally to the spider. So it's just not about being forced to do this. It's not really about contemplation. Maybe it was just the hanging part that was behind this card's intentions. But I wouldn't say so because this deck is really smart about its symbolism. So I don't know. I'm trying to think because it's not about gaining a new perspective because you already have it in you. It's not about being forced. It's not about trials, maybe. It might be trials because you have to make this web over and over again. So they can be destroyed by natural causes, by humans, animals, anything. So maybe it's about trials. Maybe it's about trying over again. Okay. This is the end of part one. So if you are a minor, thank you for being here. And if you are over 18, we can move on with the 18 plus cards. So let's start with the vampire deck because whereas a shadow attribute, it might talk about forcing yourself to see the situation from a different point of view. But otherwise, if I don't try to explain it's just like someone is really chill, and this is also comes almost natural to this type of vampire. I don't know enough about them, but it doesn't feel like being forced to do this. There's something about the face, it's like a mask, so it might be kept in prison, maybe, but I don't know. It's focusing. Okay, good. So at first it seems like it's a pretty chill card. So you are just sleep. It's it's still about being passive. It's still about waiting for the situation to pass, because it seems like this one is being forced to stay inside during the daytime. So this might be it. It's like you cannot do anything about it. You have to wait for uh, the situation to change. Okay, let's see. Okay, start with the Decameron, because I think both of these cards are playing uh, with the description of being hanged, because in this one you can see this swing being hung from the tree, and this person, let's say he's hung, but everybody is pretty happy about this situation. So I don't know. I don't see this being forced into this situation type of energy here. It's not a trial, but it's physically trying, especially for this one up here. Oh, not the camera, sorry. And it's not about commitment to your beliefs, but maybe it's about being committed to your own pleasure, and not this is not about sacrifice. What would you sacrifice except this shoe? You can just pick it up later, but maybe it's committing to your desires and passions, and trying new things out. And I think the case might be similar with this one here, because the position is just similar to the original one, but this one is tied up a little bit, but there's also joy on both of their faces. So it might be about spicing things up a little bit. So trying out new things, trying to get a new perspective, trying new positions, new techniques. So it's about sacrifice. It's really not about sacrifice. I think it's not trial. It's not being forced to uh, be in a situation you don't want to. It's not. It might be about passivity, because both women here are restricted in a way that they are either tied up or surrounded by men, and they can't really move. But I don't see the forced situation here. No, they are actually enjoying it. They are completely in it. So if you have to sacrifice anything, it's like your trust issues. So you have to work with them, because being tied up is a really vulnerable position. So if you are triggered by that, you really have to trust someone to do it, and this might be it. Okay, I think I have nothing else to say in this one. So thank you for being here, and see you at the next video. Bye.